सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ओम श्री विश्वनाथाय नमः। ओम श्री शंकराचार्याय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरु शिवानंदाय नमः। ध्येय सदा सवितृमण्डलमध्यवर्ती नारायण सरसिजासन सन्निविष्टः केयूर्मान्मकरुणगमान् किरीटिहारी हिरण्मय वपुः धृतशङ्खचक्रः। ओम भूर्भुवस्वरोम्। ओम श्री आदित्याय नमः। ओम श्री भास्कराय नमः। ओम श्री सूर्याय नमः। ओम ज्योतिषे नमः। ओम रवे नमः। ओम मित्राय नमः। ओम खगाय नमः। ओम पुष्णे नमः। ओम हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम मरीचये नमः। हरि ओम श्री विश्वनाथाय नमः। ओम श्री विश्वनाथाय नमः। ओम श्री विश्वनाथाय नमः। ओम श्री शंकराचार्याय नमः। ओम श्री शंकराचार्याय नमः। ओम श्री शंकराचार्याय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरु शिवानंदाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरु शिवानंदाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरु शिवानंदाय नमः। आदित्याय 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 पाहि मां भास्कराय 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 रक्ष माम्। आदित्याय 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 पाहि मां भास्कराय 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 रक्ष माम्। आदित्याय 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 नमः। आदित्याय 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 नमः। भास्कराय 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 शरणमो। भास्कराय 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 शरणमो। ओम नमो नारायणाय। 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 Worshipful homage to the Supreme, Eternal Spirit Divine, the one timeless, eternal and infinite, the one absolute, all-transcending, non-dual, Supreme Being. We offer our worshipful homage to that Being. Loving adoration to revered beloved Holy Master, Gurudev Sri Swami Shivanandi Maharaj, who dwelt ever in the consciousness of that Supreme Being and strove by ever so many means to make us recognize that Supreme Being as our ultimate highest goal of life and try to show the different means of attaining that great goal of life. On broad lines, the means of attaining the goal he gave as selfless service, devotion and worship, concentration and meditation, and ceaseless rejection of the false I personality and determined continuous affirmation of your real, higher spiritual identity. Karma, bhakti, dhyana and atmajnana were interwoven into the fabric of what he called the divine life. Therefore, 4 words standing for these 4 methods of attainment became most important part of the emblem that stands for the divine life. Serve, love, meditate, realize. Seva, prem, dhyan, jnana. Jnana is through the exercise of our rational intelligence, logic, rationality, inquiry, questioning, analysis and interrogation, asking, and ultimately through ceaseless investigation of the reality behind and beyond temporary appearances. The anitya is unreal, the nitya alone is real. You discriminate between the real and the unreal, permanent and temporary. But then, this rational intelligence becomes your real asset, your friend, your helper, only if it is free to function. Is it free? Is your intelligence free? What is the inner situation of the man? No matter how much one may make a bravado and say, yes, I am free and independent thinker. I don't allow myself to be influenced by other people's opinions and ideas, views, viewpoints. That may be so. They may not allow other people's ideas and opinions to influence you. To that extent, you may be said to be free. But then, to be frank and to state the real inner situation honestly, the intelligence is an unenviable position, because every day from the moment of waking until you go back to sleep again, it is constantly assailed by the 5 senses and the demand for sense satisfaction. Not all the powers of vivek, reasoning, inquiry and all that prove of much avail. Maybe it is after years and years and years of unceasing, persevering effort in this viveka and vichara and all that, results start manifesting. Until that, all our boasted intellect, when it is constantly being assailed by the senses, drawing them out, pushing them towards sense objects, demanding sense satisfaction. Intellect is engaged in planning and scheming how to provide the senses what they want, how to clamor, demand. And here is the other side, from within, the ego constantly keeps plaguing it, constantly keep needling it. And cajoling it and needling it and trying to egg it on towards saying yes, exercising with the demands of the senses and going along. So, on one side, Jagadguru Adi Shankaracharya is pulling the intellect. Another side, Ahankaracharya is needling it and egging it on, not allowing it to rest. Our own Ahankara, ourselves. So the poor intellect is in a predicament. And to add to these dual situations of the assailment of the senses from outside and the constant attempt of the ego, just keep poking it, goading it onward. In addition to these two, there is a third factor, still more difficult to deal with. It is the periodical, strange irrationality of the rational mind that is supposed to be our asset. Rationality is temporarily overcome by irrationality. And this irrationality takes various forms. One is to rationalize the patently undesirable thing before you, which is plain as daylight, and make it appear as though it is okay. It is in this context we saw how sometimes when it is asked not to indulge in seemingly harmless pursuits, which do not have any ethical implication, or which do not have any ethical taboo, they are okay. And thus he says it's okay. But he doesn't understand or doesn't want to see that even though it is okay from purely yogic or moral point of view, but common sense says it is not okay because they divert your attention, consume your time, instead of allowing you to wholly devote yourself to sadhana and brahmachintan and abhyasa. If you engage constantly in effort towards God realization, this sidetracks you and wastes away your time. And we saw that in this case, it begins to rationalize, saying, no, so and so was doing it. He was a highly spiritual personality. Why we are not doing it? It is in this context we raise a question and also ponder this point arising out of this question, namely, what should be our attitude towards the great saints and sages and holy people, well recognized by the world as spiritual personalities, worthy of emulation? How should we relate ourselves to them? Should we make use of them in a way so that what all things I as a sadhak and a spiritual person, seeker, is not supposed to do, but yet I am doing it due to force of habit or weakness. To see how many of these things other saints also were doing, so that looking at them we can say, see, it's all right. That saint was doing that. This great jnani was doing this. Or that world-revered person, he was doing this. So, should your attitude be to see what they were doing, you are also doing, but which is not all right for you as a sadhak. So you take refuge behind what this fact that they are doing it, therefore my doing it is okay. Should that be your attitude? Or should it be what are all those great qualities which I do not have, rather than relating yourself in terms of what you have and what you are doing, and trying to find justification out of their own habitual ways of acting. Why do you make a big fuss about this anger? Anger is natural to human beings. Durvasa also was angry. Bhrigu was angry. Vishwamitra was very angry. Who doesn't have anger? One of the Pandavas, Bhimsen, was having great anger. So he unnecessarily exaggerating these things and constantly telling me you should not be angry. So when great personalities have had its qualities, what does it matter if when I get God realization, it will go away. There is one way. I am only taking one quality of anger. Other qualities also may be similarly justified because they were found present in one great personality or other. Or, on the other hand, should our attitude and approach to them be these are all great qualities which should be part of my nature and equipment in my spiritual journey, struggle for perfection. And many of these qualities we see in these great saints and yogis. Therefore, it proves that I am on the right track. And therefore, I should try to strengthen these qualities which I see in them, these positive spiritual qualities. I wish to shine with those qualities with which this saint and that saint and this great sage was manifesting in his own life or her own life. This is the positive and the creative approach. This is the way one should look at great saints and their lives and teachings. Not the other way. Thoughts of the negative type in relation to our view of these saints is in plenty. But we should make up our mind. We will relate ourselves to these saints in a positive and a creative manner, and try to embody in ourselves these great qualities. This ladder, therefore, is the great need for the spiritual aspirant. And the irrationality of the intellect, which stands in the way of functioning in this creative and positive manner, that should be got rid of. That irrationality should not be given any quarter. It is a task of self-study, analysis, and a frank and impartial attitude towards one's own self. And acting on the lines that our findings, when we keep watch over oneself, whatever the findings are, acting in accordance with that situation is a truly rational line of approach to the great reality. God and Gurudev bless us in thus approaching the Supreme Being. Hari Om. God bless you all. Om Namo